Hello? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our panel discussion on developing high-impact journals in India. Today we have the privilege of hosting esteemed guests who are pioneers in their respective fields, and each contributes significantly to the advancement of scholarly publishing in our country. Our guests for today are Mr. Vivek Mehra, Professor Trilochan Tripathi, and Professor Ajoy Kede. I request all of our dignitaries to please join us on the stage. Moderating our session for today will be Professor Aditya Shankar Mishra from IIM Ranchi. We also have a video message from Mrs. Sangeeta.
Good afternoon, everybody. After lunch, it is, very difficult to conduct any session, especially when we are talking about journals and research papers. But still, given the kind of distinguished guests we have, distinguished speakers we have on stage, and off stage, the kind of dignitaries we have, this session is bound to be entertaining as well as full of learning. So, since yesterday morning, most of the speakers have talked about two duties, two responsibilities of any academician: creation of knowledge and dissemination of knowledge, right? We all are gathered here to disseminate the knowledge which we have created, right? But once you have created the quality knowledge, what will you do with that? Obviously, you need some outlet to get it published, right? That is our objective. So this is one objective, to get published your high-quality papers. In addition to that, we also have something called as career advancement. For that purpose also, we need to publish papers, right? But we all know that if we publish in some good journals, the credibility is better, right? And the journal's credibility also get better if we have some good papers. Here in this session, we all are gathered to discuss how to develop high-impact journals. You must have seen one standee outside of this auditorium, which talks about IIM Ranchi Journal of Management Studies. 2 years back, this journal has been brought into the functioning, and it is being published with collaboration with Emerald. So far, we have already, released 2 volumes with 4 issues. And to let you know that we have already covered all the continents of this globe. And more than 40% of the papers are from international authors. So somehow we are, developing this journal. And I also have promised my institute, my editor-in-chief. By the way, I'm Professor Aditya Mishra, sorry. I'm Professor Aditya Mishra. Right now, I am handling IIM Ranchi Journal of Management Studies as editor. And I belong to marketing area. So yeah, I promised my institute and editor-in-chief that in 3 years of its existence, I will not leave any stone unturned to get it indexed in any good indices. But I should also know which are those stones which I have to turn it on, right? So thankfully we have those kind of distinguished guests here who will help me as well as all of us to know what are the key parameters, what is the way to develop any impactful journal. So first of all here, we had planned for 4 guests, 4 speakers. So other than these 3 dignitaries, we also had Mr. Sundar Radhakrishnan, who is Managing Director of Emerald India. Unfortunately, due to some reasons, he could not attend this session. So in his behalf, Ms. Sangeeta Menon, who is the national head of Emerald, has sent her video message. So I would request my IT team to please play that particular video.
evening to esteemed dignitaries, guests, and participants. Before I begin, I want to thank the director of IIM Ranchi and editor-in-chief of IIM Ranchi Journal of Management Studies, Dr. Deepakumar Srivastava, and the editor of the journal, Dr. Aditya Shankar Mishra, for the opportunity to share a few words with all of you today on the topic of great significance in the world of academia, which is impactful research. Traditionally, the academic community has relied heavily on peer-reviewed journals as a primary vehicle for sharing research findings. However, in the recent years, we have witnessed a paradigm shift in the way research is published, driven by technological advancements and a growing demand for open access to knowledge. In the last 15 years, one of the most notable changes is the rise of open access publishing. Open access journals have democratized access to scholarly work by breaking down barriers and ensuring that knowledge is freely available to anyone with an internet connection. The shift aligns with the fundamental principle that knowledge should be a public good, fostering collaboration and innovation on a global scale. However, as we celebrate these advancements, we must also address the challenges that accompany them. The pressure to publish, coupled with the proliferation of predatory journals, raises concerns about the quality and integrity of the research being disseminated. As stakeholders of research, institutes, editors, researchers, publishers, we must prioritize rigor, transparency, and ethical conduct to ensure the credibility of academic publishing remains intact. Moreover, we must consider the evolving role of traditional publishers in this changing landscape. With new models emerging such as Platinum or Diamond Open Access, F1000 Research, the dynamics of power in academic publishing are shifting. As stakeholders, we have a responsibility to actively engage in discussions about these changes and advocate for systems that prioritize the greater good of advancing knowledge. Now, it's been a few decades where we have lived through the publish or perish culture. And amidst the race to publish, we often forget that research has a purpose. And that purpose is to enhance society by advancing knowledge through the development of scientific theories, concepts, and ideas. It's about making a difference in the real world. Some of you will know this as real world impact, or what we in IMRL call real impact. So what does the future in scholarly publishing look like? With most publishers and editors already focusing on the impact of the research they publish, the way we measure the impact of research is also changing. For all this while, impact meant measuring the citations and downloads of articles long after the article was published. We all know and understand how these metrics can be manipulated intentionally and unintentionally, and thus do not indicate the contribution of the research itself. Keeping this in mind, it is now becoming necessary to consider the possible impact of research before you even begin your article. In fact, many publishers, including IMRL Publishing, have introduced a section called Impact Statement at the time of submission. It is quite natural that an impactful research will have a strong impact statement as well. And impact statements are and will be the factors that supports the decisions of the editors. Moreover, we are moving away from a journal level matrix to an article level matrix. That is a shift in the way scholars and publishers evaluate the impact and reach of academic research. Traditionally, the impact of academic work was often assessed based on the reputation and impact factor of the journals in which the research is published. However, the focus is now shifting towards evaluating the impact of the individual articles rather than relying solely on the journal level matrix. The move towards article level matrix reflects a desire for a more nuanced and comprehensive understanding of the impact of scholarly work, acknowledging that not all articles within a journal have equal influence. This shift aligns with the evolving landscape of scholarly communication and the increasing importance of assessing research impact in a more diverse and transparent manner. In fact, this shift in the research landscape has made it imperative for institutes and publishers to work even more closely to end unethical practices like ghost authorship, guest authorship, reviewer and editor misconduct, among other things that are diluting the value of research. We also must consider how to improve the visibility of the researchers in India while removing the burden of payment from researchers. It is in this regard that we are fortunate to be the publishing partner for IIM Ranchi for the publication of the journal IIM Ranchi Journal of Management Studies. The journal, as many of you know, is platinum open access journal, which means that while the journal is open access, it is fully sponsored by IIM Ranchi, thus removing the burden of article processing charges from the authors. It was with the aim of supporting a wider research community that IIM Ranchi chose this model over a subscription-based model for their journal. When it comes to running a journal, we publishers often find poor processes that hamper the growth of the journal or raise serious questions on the ethical practices of the editorial board. To anyone who has been on the other side of the publishing process knows that it is a difficult job for the editors to maintain the processes needed for running the journal smoothly, watch the growth, and also stay updated with the new system, processes, and rules of it. Good morning to esteemed dignitaries, guests, and participants. Before I begin, I want to thank the director of IIM Ranchi and editor-in-chief of
So before we move further, let me apprise you about the format of this panel discussion. After this video message from Ms. Sangeeta Menon from Emerald, now we'll have 10 to 15 minutes to each speaker. Post that, we'll have discussion among ourselves based on certain questions and certain key issues. After that, the forum will be open for questions from audience, right? So now I'm going to introduce the first guest, Professor Ajay Kumar Dey. And before I read his introduction, I have personal interaction with him on phone when there was some background work on about our journal. So I learned too many things from him, how to develop any journal, and this was his guidance only, which always kept me motivated to go after, going through all kinds of different, exploring different kinds of journals, and post that we decided that we'll go for open access. So Dr. Dey is the chairperson, Center for Management Case Development at Birla Institute of Management Technology, India. Dr. Dey is responsible for creating an environment to facilitate case research, writing, and teaching. He is the editor of the South Asian Journal of Business and Management Cases, a Scopus indexed, ABS Level 1, and UGC Care listed SAGE publication. Dr. Dey is on the editorial advisory boards of Emerald Emerging Market Case Studies and Journal of Entrepreneurship in Emerging Economies. Dr. Dey is a professor of decision sciences and operations management. Besides operations and supply chain management, his areas of expertise include curriculum development and student engagement. As thesis chair or committee member, he has helped 9 scholars to complete their doctoral journey since 2018. Dr. Dey is a member of Case Steering Committee of Global Business School Network. For past 3 years, he has been chairing the pedagogy track at NACRA annual conference. Apart from publishing in reputed research journals, some of the articles of Dr. Dey have found place in the highly acclaimed professional journals of Management Fraternity, Insight of ASCSB, and Global Focus of EFMD. On 22nd October 2019, he presented his thoughts on the curriculum development at the ASCSB conference for Asia Pacific, Seoul, South Korea. At the AOM conference 2022, he got a chance to present his research paper on multiple career transitions as a part of the career track. In 2021, Dr. Day has edited a book titled Case Method for Digital Natives, Teaching and Research, published by Bloomsbury. Currently, Dr. Day is busy conceptualizing two projects: empowering management faculty with case method and reconnecting case method with workplaces. After this session, he again has one more session that is on case method workshop. Thank you, sir. Please.
Thank you. Thank you, Aditya, for a very warm welcome. And too many adjectives have been used in my description. I do not know how many of them really apply to me. Anyway, in order to set the tone for my discussion, I need to delve into some past incidents or past happenings related to our journal. Our journal is South Asian Journal of Business and Management Cases. To note, the name itself has cases. So far, whatever we have discussed in this forum about citation, about impact, do not apply to case journal. Why? Because cases are not cited. Particularly teaching cases are never cited. Okay. So going back, I'm an editor by accident. Suddenly in 2016, Professor Sardana had died, and I was given this charge. For whatever reason, I don't know, I was told that you have to take this. So I have taken. Till then, I was a novice. I didn't know anything of cases. I used to teach with cases, but the correct formation of the case, the correct purpose of a case, the way it should be used as a pedagogy was not known to me. I must be very frank in this. So when this journal came to me, it was running, I think, in 6th or 7th year. The life was very smooth. Whatever came in, whether it was just a narrative or whether it was having dilemma or not having dilemma, anything got accepted because we were not so aware of what is case. So life was fine till in 2019, I had applied for ASESB listing. And our application got rejected with just one simple liner saying that what is the contribution. Because till then, we were busy accepting anything and everything that appeared to be case. Most of them were a teaching case. So there was no contribution. So why should it be listed? So from there, we actually got shaken up and we have learned a lot. And from there, our transformational journey started. I got trained on case method at SEEBS Shanghai. I had attended many case method workshops worldwide. And from there, I have learned how to take it forward. Now, one thing, where from you get cases? Because it is not that you want any kind of article. You want particularly cases. So who will give you? It was not clear. So we started assiduously building a kind of community of case writers, assumed to be the management professors, research scholars, particularly in certain areas like OB, strategy, marketing, avoiding very clearly people who are teaching statistics, people who are teaching those kind of subjects where cases are less used. So this took us at least 5 years to build up a sizable mass, a critical mass. And today we are driven by a community to whom we appeal through our social media campaign, and we start getting cases. This is one major achievement that we have done. Then I was worried about increasing citation. Citation of cases, which is near impossible. So what I found that after a lot of discussion, a lot of consulting with renowned case authors, renowned practitioners, that there is a qualitative research approach, which is called qualitative case study research. It is a qualitative method of doing research within a bounded context. So the difference between case research in qualitative approach and normal qualitative research is the question of how well you have defined your context. If it is bounded, the advantage is that you can take a deep dive and bring out a new understanding, new meaning of the phenomena that you are trying to understand. So with that cue, we overnight changed everything to qualitative case study research. The problem was that our community from whom we were getting cases, they were not accustomed to writing qualitative case study research. For short, I will keep using it as QCSR, qualitative case study research. So we were not getting cases. Before that, we had ample of cases. And it was a tough decision for me to suddenly close the gate and shift over. I couldn't have done this, because then what do I publish? How do I come out with new issues? So we decided with lot of preparation that January 2020, no entry for teaching cases in our journal. We had advertised and we had done everything. So what happened? Our submissions fell down. And being qualitative research, we said that we will allow more words per case. So we increased the word limit from 5,000 to 7,000 and said that to be practical, we will not be able to get more than 7 cases per issue. Our journal comes out 3 times a year. So we will be happy to get 21 submissions, good submissions, after screening for publication. For that, our estimate was that time that it should be about 80 submissions. Today, I can share that for last 2 years, our rejection rate is hovering around 88%. It's not a matter of pride, it's a matter of concern, because whatever we get, we accept hardly 12 to 14%. This has been the trend for last 2 years. So it is a tough job. It's not easy. Why it is not easy? Because people are not able to understand the structure of QCSR. What is QCSR? What should be the minimum components of QCSR? That was not understood. So for that, we are delivering free many webinars, many workshops and all that. Everything is going on. But this is where we stand. One good thing is that in 2020, when we stopped accepting teaching cases, the entire 2020 we had somehow managed publishing QCSR. Most of them were not QCSR. There is something in between which serves as a bridge in the case method. That is called phenomena-based cases. So between teaching cases and qualitative case study research, there is another step, which is phenomena-based case, which means you can describe or you can show the manifestation of a unique phenomena, recent phenomena, in a particular context. That is how we survived. So till 2020, our downloads were 27,000 only. It is a paid journal. It is not open access. So we had 27,000 downloads in 2020. 21 saw 89,000 downloads. 22, 86,000 downloads. And this year, 23, we still to get 2 months data, we have already crossed 92,000 downloads. What I mean to say, that the path we have chosen after very careful selection seems to be right. This is what is evident here. So I can keep on going on. I think I will stop here just to give you the idea. We can take up any question later on. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. The second speaker for the session, Professor Tilochan Tripathi. He has over 23 years of strong research consultation and management training experience under grants, contracts, and fee-for-service basis with industry, independent agencies, and organizations. Dr. Tripathi is currently engaged as Professor of Finance with the XLRI Xavier School of Management, Jamshedpur, India. He is also holding two important portfolios at XLRI, such as Associate Dean, XLRI Case Research, and Simulation Development Center and Editor-in-Chief, Management and Labor Studies, a Scopus indexed SAGE publication journal. His current research interests are in the broad areas of market integration, commodity price modeling, currency risk modeling, liquidity crisis and regulations, cross-listing and volatility spillover, and asset pricing and valuations. He has published over 50 articles and cases, and some of them are in the Journal of Applied Economics, Journal of Quantitative Economics, Resources Policy, International Journal of Applied Economics and Finance, International Journal of Behavioral Accounting and Finance, International Advances in Finance and Economics, Finance India, Review of Developmental Finance, International Journal of Intellectual Capital and Learning, etc. Congratulations, sir, on your half century. He has also written award-winning cases for international case competitions, and also he has won Best Research Paper Awards in international conferences. Professor Tripathi has guided 14 PhD scholars in the diverse areas of business management. Professor Tripathi has also been engaged in a wide array of research and consulting assignments with diversified national and international clienteles such as World Bank, USAID, Natural Resource Institute, UK, Nobev, Netherlands, Plan International UK, World Vision, India Gold Policy Research Center, and Government of Uttaranchal. I welcome you, sir. And now I would request, you can speak from there also. If you want, you can come here. Okay.
Thank you, Aditya. I think somebody has shared my, let's say, resume. Thank you so much giving me this opportunity, and that dignitaries in the dais and professors and research scholars and audiences. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to really do it just in 15 minutes. I'm going to do slightly different. And I think everybody is going to really explore these dimensions, and we should really explore these dimensions before going ahead with the, let's say, impact journal or something of that sort. What I'm going to do, three things I would like to really touch upon in this particular speech. First is going to be why some countries are home base for quality journals. Whenever you're saying impact factor, it is one of the proxy for your, let's say, quality. But many times this is really contended, debated, criticized, and that impact factor is not really going to be a kind of your, let's say, right proxy. Anyway, but what I'm saying is, before that, we should really understand, and I'm sure some of you must be exploring these dimensions, and why some countries are the home base for quality journals. And how to recognize quality journals. If it is not impact factor, what are the other factors we should really consider before going ahead with really submitting our papers to those journals? Finally, what makes a quality journals with high impact factor, especially in the context of India? I'm going to really touch upon that. Therefore, the first one, I'm sure, this is a very elongated slide. I'm sure you are able to see this. But if you see this particular, let's say, the statistics here, especially these statistics here on the left corner, upper cornermost. Here, if you see that out of 249, let's say, Scopus index, your World of Science index journals, now UK, USA are really dominating this space, followed by the Netherlands. And I have just captured this information from the Schemago website, and it is publicly available. I'm sure you all are aware about it. But if you see that out of 249 Q1, let's say, ranked journals, and mostly it is dominated by UK and USA. I mean, especially this is what is going to be the rank, especially for the business management and accounting. I have just filtered that particular segment, which is going to be definitely applicable for many of us. Therefore, what I'm saying is, if you see this one, definitely this gives some sort of impression that these countries are going to really dominate the space. And if you talk about Germany, Singapore, Spain, Denmark, Australia, even they are nowhere. Forget about all other countries. And many times you say that Germany is one of the leading, let's say, countries having a high impact, let's say, journals and all that, especially in the science segment. But if you talk about social science research, business management, and your accounting, absolutely you will not find many such journals in your Germany even. Therefore, what I'm trying to tell you is that And this is what is the future for your, let's say, 2022. But if you just see the rank of your entire, let's say, few countries have captured here up to, let's say, 20, 22 countries, you see that the rank, in terms of our rank, definitely India stands somewhere around 5. But if you see the impact factor, the citation rank, which is pretty low, damn low, 8.65. Now, if you talk about, let's say, the other, let's say, comparisons, if we are going to make it, let's say, India versus other countries, other peers like your, let's say, Russia, South Africa, China, and many others, no? You can see that out here. India is definitely lagging behind many other peers, compared to many other peers, like your, let's say, Brazil. If you see the Brazil, let's say, the citation score is 9.06, but India is definitely much lower than that of Brazil. Therefore, what I'm saying is, if you see the South Africa, I mean, South Africa is way ahead than that of India. So what I'm saying is, it really pondered me why this really happens. And we are publishing really quantity, volume. But whenever we talk about, let's say, our citation or the quality, definitely we are lagging thereof. I hope many of you will agree with this. Whether you talk about, let's say, in general, or talk about, let's say, open access journal also. These countries, your USA, UK, they are also dominating out of, let's say, Q1, 25, 26 journals, they are also dominating that space. Now, what I'm saying is, if you just make a pure comparison of India with other, let's say, countries, those are publishing in that particular domain, definitely we can be compared with some countries, the Philippines, which is definitely much higher than that of India, 9.14. And Argentina, Serbia, Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is about 7.67, 75th rank, though the volume is really low, but in terms of citation, then papers are definitely, I mean, relatively better, though not compared to India, but definitely compared to many other countries, better. So what I'm trying to tell you is that these countries have created the home base, your USA, UK, and Netherlands. Why so? I'm trying to really explore with the help of some management theory, and one of the theories I have made applied here to understand that dimension here. Now, what I'm saying is, if you talk about these economies, especially your UK, USA, and Netherlands, definitely they are having the home base for these quality publications. Why so? I mean, there is a model, I'm sure, famous management model, Porter's Diamond model, that is definitely going to help us out to explore this dimension. The first time, what I'm saying is the strategic asset, the strategic resources, whatever they are having with, that is definitely helping them to really publish, let's say, quality papers in the quality journals. They are having also holding number of quality journals in those countries. Now, what are those strategic factors? First, whenever you are saying strategic factors, they are the eminent institutions built by legacy. The moment you say Harvard or Chicago, something of that sort, definitely it's a legacy institution, you can say that. Definitely, the moment a particular researcher is publishing a paper or feeding a paper to a journal, without having much of a, let's say, they are going to be accepted, something of that sort. And not only that, they are also quality conscious. Whenever they're feeding any journal, paper into any journal, definitely they're ensuring that this institution is backing them. Absolutely, they are not going to publish something, let's say, which is going to be really questioned. Therefore, what I'm saying is the eminent institution built in legacy and dedicated global research infrastructure. If you talk about the databases and all that, it's many times you struggle to find the data and all that. But in USA and UK, definitely you'll find many such, let's say, organizations, those who are providing the professional data, let's say, services and all that. But they are having maintained that particular quality over the period of time. That could be another factor which is really perhaps helping them to publish good quality journals. And apart from that, these countries have really the home base for the Nobel laureates, you can also say that. Therefore, keeping that in mind, you can say that these are the major factors which are really keeping these, let's say, institutions engaged and publishing high-quality journals and retaining those high-quality journals at their end. Now, if you talk about, let's say, demand conditions, no, that is another factor of your Porter's Diamond model. And if you just examine that, that's also going to give a very interesting dimension. And home demand conditions for the input-output. Whenever any, let's say, the American institutions or the British institutions are going to, let's say, recruit any particular faculty or the researchers, definitely they are going to ensure that they are the best of the quality researchers which are coming to that in those institutions. Therefore, apart from that, let's say they are competing at the highest level of your grants, and definitely that is not much available here in India. Whenever you're going to really go for the quality publications, you do not get much of the, let's say, funding. And the definitely government, whatever is providing the funding, it is really peanut. You cannot really think of publishing in good journals. Even those, let's say, fundings are not sufficient for really coming up with the very good, let's say, survey or collecting the data or buying some sort of a good databases. Apart from that, If you see this, let's say, whenever you're going to produce any particular output or the research paper, automatically within the institutions, that signal is going to come in, that whether it is a good journal or not, whether it's a good paper or not. But that is what is not really happening in many such emerging economies. Now, apart from that, if you talk about, let's say, competition and entry barrier, those institutions have created that barrier. They are having a networking organizations within this league of institutions who are not really permitting others to get into that particular domain. Then, also these countries are having supportive and related services, and whenever you are seeking for some sort of support to publish some sort of your good papers in the good journal, those facilities are really available, and they can easily access those facilities because the funding resources are really not that constrained thereof. Therefore, your related and supportive factors and the institutions are also playing a big role thereof, which are facilitating to publish the good quality journals. Apart from that, government is going to play a very big role thereof. Government is enabler over here, and many times, government is trying to facilitate it, but the government doesn't have the sufficient fund to really promote that. Not only that, government is not also creating some sort of policies and by which the institutions are going to really compete with each other, or some kind of, let's say, environment or ecosystem you have to create so that others are competing with each other and coming up with the good publications and all that. Therefore, what I'm saying is these 5 factors are going to really work as a system. What I'm saying is they're going to really play with each other. If you're going to integrate all together, definitely they're going to play a very big role, which is helping you out to really publish the quality papers and retain your quality journals. Now, apart from that, if you talk about, let's say, especially, let's say, in the context of India, how can you really address this issue? Definitely, quality is a factor. We're publishing in number of, let's say, volume terms. But whenever you talk about the quality papers, really it doesn't really come up. Then how to really address this? And out of my, let's say, experience over the period of time, I have captured few, let's say, caveats over here. I'm sure that's going to really give some sort of food for thought. Now, we are coming up with the many journals. Let's say, for example, my journal is Management Labor Studies. But we accept papers from many multidisciplinary domains. But this journal is especially designed to publish the papers in the human resource domain, or the behavioral science domain especially. But we do not really do that. We slightly divert from that particular directions and publish the papers from the other domains. Therefore, many times we really do not really pay attention what exactly we are publishing. And we are trying to really dilute our, let's say, the basic objective. Therefore, there is a need to really very clearly specify the aim and scope of that journal. And many such journals in India, and if you see that, they are going to really give a very broad name, but there is no such thematic, let's say, journal. Very specific theme-based journals are not there. And if you are going to have that, I'm sure that's going to really work out for us. Now, clearly defined scope of the journal, publish relevant cutting-edge contributing research. Many times, and the researchers are going to really submit the papers which are having just replications, but doesn't have much of a, let's say, contribution. But still, we publish those papers. Apart from that, if you talk about, let's say, having a very quality journal in India, what you have to do, you have to ensure that definitely you are publishing the papers from the your distinguished researchers. We have to create some sort of your, let's say, facilities or the ecosystem by which you can really invite those, let's say, distinguished researchers who can contribute the good papers, so that that's going to really increase the citations of the journal. Then, special thematic issues, specific issues, you can really, some guest editors can really think of those kind of your, let's say, volumes and all that. Then second is rigorous peer review process. This process is really, in many journal contexts, it is, you are having a lot of flaws thereof. Whatever I'm experiencing over here, we have a database. Sage is really helping us out to really guiding in that direction. But whenever you're submitting, reviewing any papers, we select a particular reviewer. But at the end, whenever you see the review report, those review reports are not up to the expectations. Even they do not know how to really conduct the review for those papers. Therefore, we need to really have a very robust review system. And that system has to really, verify, monitor time to time. Then only you will be able to really come up with a successful review. And not only that, and many times the journals are taking pretty longer time period to really complete the review, in the sense that for my journal closely the period is about 6 months time. And there is no such really, I mean, we cannot really think of 6 months' time for the current days. Definitely, we have to restrict those days to within a month or maybe in maximum 30 to 35 days' time. But if you can reduce those number of days, I'm sure you will be able to really get many articles, submissions to your journal. Now, currently, every week we are getting closely 10 papers. But what do? You really reject, I mean, out of 10 submissions, on an average, 7 to 8 papers we desk rejected. And closely 2 to 3 papers are getting into the, let's say, review process. And within that also, we are verifying who are the reviewers going to really review those let's say, papers. And we talk to them, understand their, let's say, your depth of knowledge in that domain. Me and some of my other consulting editors, the associate editors, they speak to those reviewers before sending the paper. Recently, we have started this process. Otherwise, many times the reviewers, they do not really do those reviews appropriately. Now, another part is that going to be your, let's say, constitutions of the editorial board is important. Many times, what do? No, thus normally we are going to be self-biased in the sense that within the institutions we keep many members to review or part of the editorial board and all that. But that's absolutely, I think, wrong. We should not really promote that. If you can have someone from, let's say, reputed institutions within or outside India or from different geographies, that is going to really make very suitable for your editorial board composition. Therefore, editorial board composition is absolutely important. We need to keep in our mind that it has to have a very robust, let's say, editorial board, and it has to have a let's say, board from the different geographies. That means members from the different geographies. Not only that, whenever you are going to really set some sort of your, let's say, the roles and responsibilities for the consulting editors, we need to really align them to our domain. Many times, I am from the areas of finance, but I am editing a journal called Management Level Studies. I am definitely going to really say that absolutely this is not really appropriate. Maybe based on my research exposure, my institution has really assigned me that responsibility. But absolutely the person who is really competent in this domain, he should be the chief editor for that particular journal. Not only that, other editors, associate editors should be also from that particular domain. And even the consulting editors should be from that particular domain. Therefore, if you are going to have a specific thematic journal, then only you will be able to really come up with the quality, let's say, filtering, and that quality review process can be really established. We'll be able to publish the very good journal, very good papers. Therefore, those papers are going to be really cited more. And what I'm saying is, apart from that, the selection of publisher is also going to be an important factor. Many times, if you just examine same 249 Q1 journals, who are the publishers really dominating this space? I'm sure you'll find very few publishers who are really dominating that space. Therefore, what I'm saying is, whenever selecting any publisher, that definitely we should really pay attention. Can you have a publisher who can really promote our journal? Can they really ensure that you are publishing something which is going to really increase our citation and impact factor as well? Not only that, whenever you're going to thinking of a particular, let's say, your journal, that should be transparency, scrutiny, and openness. And definitely that open access journal, whatever the Aditya and others they are promoting here in IIM Ranchi, it is definitely most appreciated. And many such effort has to be really made in India so that we'll be able to really come up with the, let's say, access to those kind of, let's say, resources. And many tier 2 institutions and universities, the faculty members do not get the access to, let's say, papers, because the publishing houses, they really control those, let's say, papers. So I have seen that some of the papers have published in some Scopus Index journals and Springer journals. Even Springer doesn't directly allow me to download those papers. If I'm coming through my institution, then only I'll be able to really download that. Therefore, that open access journal system is definitely going to create some sort of, let's say, environment or the ecosystem for us to promote the quality content in our journal and in our papers as well. Therefore, what I'm saying is, these are the important factors we need to really keep in our mind before establishing the journal, or even if you are running the journals, can you really rethink and reorganize it so that we'll be able to really come up with the good papers and the journal can be really recognized extensively. Now, whenever you're saying, let's say, transparency and openness, definitely these are the few factors we need to really examine. We are considering right now the level 1 right now. We have really gone beyond the level 0, now we are at the level 1. These are the certain standards we need to really set. Every journal should have these standards before going ahead. I think if these standards are going to be maintained meticulously, I'm sure that's going to really improve the quality of the journal. Therefore, whenever I'm saying standards, now citation standards, no, we have to really set those tone, or we have to communicate these sort of things to the authors through our guidelines that yes, this is what is the stuff they have to definitely ensure whenever they're submitting it. But progressively we should really do this, but instantly if we are going to really set the level 3, we'll not get the papers for publication. Like that, your data transparency. If any, let's say, author is submitting the, let's say, paper to the journal, and many times, let's say, the journals, those who are starting their, let's say, journey, they do not really put this sort of stringent requirement before the authors. But whenever you have been established, you have gone beyond 5 to 10 years, you may think of really putting some sort of your, let's say, restrictions, that if anybody is publishing it, can they really share their data before really publishing the papers in the journal, something of that sort, which can be really available in a particular repository, public repository, which can be accessed by other researchers, which is going to facilitate the replications of that study, or using that data, some other study can also be carried out. Like that, the analytical methods. Recently, I'm sure many researchers are using the codes, the R and Python and many the MATLAB codes and all that. Therefore, can you really get those codes? If somebody is submitting papers to the journal, can you really make some sort of a mandatory requirement that they have to really submit that particular code? But initially, you cannot really do that. Can you really do it little, let's say, in the advanced stage, after 10 to 15 years, can you really think up in this direction? Anybody's really submitting a paper to the journal without submitting the data, or without submitting some kind of your raw data even, those papers cannot be really published in our journal. Something of that sort. Now, what I'm saying is, like that, all other, let's say, so standards and have been mentioned over here. If you can really ensure those standards, I'm sure our journal quality and the citation index are bound to really improve. Now, these are the, let's say, few methodologies, some sort of changes we have brought into our current journal, MLS, Management Level Studies. Now, many times you have seen that the papers, whatever is coming to the journal, it is not really properly language edited. Therefore, we have an in-house team right now. Every paper, after, let's say, desk review, what we are going to do, we are going to really do the language editing. Before, let's say, sending it to the reviewer even, we'll do the language editing. If we found that there are a lot of gross mistakes in that particular, let's say, document, we'll not send it for language, for the review, rather we'll reject that paper at the, let's say, initial stage. Not only that, we have also created some sort of facilities where we are going to really debate and discuss every year with the prospective reviewers. We are going to really accolade some of the reviewers who are going to really do commendable job for our journals. We are going to give them some sort of, let's say, benefit through our journals. So we're going to give them the free access of the papers and all that. Apart from that, some certificate also we are offering them, so that they are going to be a little more motivated to really do the good job in reviewing. And there are other stops. Because of the paucity of time, I'm going to really stop it here. But at the end, I would like to really conclude by saying that definitely the quality, Indian journal quality, or the papers, whatever publishing, it's really not up to our expectations. There is a need to really create some ecosystem. The government has to really create some sort of enabling environment by which you will be able to really publish, come up with the good journals, and some funding resources, which is also facilitating to buy good databases and facilitating and promoting the research quality in the country. Not only that, if you are going to really think of a quality journals, definitely the kind of standards and your labels, whatever I was just mentioning thereof, if you could really follow that, I'm sure we'll be able to come up with the good citations. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So let's go a little off the theme, just to awake you from your deep sleep. In recently concluded Cricket World Cup, we had many things to learn, other than the final match between India and Australia. Most of the teams kept their most experienced batsmen for initial overs, then most dependable ones for the middle overs. But for the slow overs, they had those batsmen who could hit boundaries on almost each ball. So you must have recognized, somewhere I am pointing finger towards our last speaker, Mr. Vivek Mehra. I expect that he will hit boundaries on almost each ball. So let me give brief introduction of Mr. Mehra. So Mr. Mehra is the founder of the EdTech startup, Vikramshila Research Private Limited, a digital India platform specializing in open access research dissemination, the soon to be launched portal called Akash Ganga, will host India's first suite of subject-specific mega journals alongside traditional society journals. All these will be in open access format only. Mr. Mehra is the former CEO and Managing Director of Sage Publications India. He is also a TEDx speaker, a mentor to startups, an author, a workshop trainer, a student of law, a fan of squash and yoga. He is a recipient of many awards. In February 19, the New Delhi Institute of Management awarded him the Business Excellence and Innovative Best Practices Academia Award. Before that, in 2016, Sarda University conferred him with the Sarda Top Rankers Excellence Award for Visionary Leadership. Vivek is also the recipient of the Vijay Sri Award by the government of Maharashtra, awarded in '94, for simplifying complex dehydrating technology, ensuring a brighter future for small-scale farmers. Mr. Mehra serves as the Honorary Council member and member of Board Studies for the Association of Learned and Professional Society Publishers, journal Learned Publishing. He is also widely interviewed and published in prestigious journals. He has served as the Vice President of the Association of Publishers in India and is on the committee of CII and FICCI on IPR, copyright and higher education. He is currently pursuing a PhD in management alongside teaching the research, publishing and ethics paper at various universities. Thank you, sir. Thanks for your time and great to have you here.
Pardon me, just for one quick second. I was making notes since this morning's presentation and yesterday's presentations, and I want to begin with an apology. An apology to all my fellow academics here. I'm not truly an academic, I'm a publisher, but I want to apologize by simply because I am going to present to you a different picture. I am going to talk about a universe that I see from the publisher's end. I also see the academic side end. So I am going to talk about some hard facts. I am going to base everything on statistics. I am not going to profess any opinions. I am also going to try and to propose some solutions. My startup is one of them, but by no means that's the end of it all. So I have been in higher education for almost 3 decades, and 95% of it has been on the publisher's side. You have heard about the impact of impact factor, but do you know where it originates from? So in 1975, an academic actually created a system by which he tried to evaluate what a journal published and what was its impact, therefore he called it impact factor. And for 17 years it worked really well. In 1992, he sold his system, or he was acquired by a publisher, and that's where all the problems started. And the problem started because impact factors were used to determine the subscription price of journals. I'm speaking of fact. This is not an opinion I'm professing. You can do the research on this. So impact factor, the biggest beneficiary have been publishers who benefited by charging premiums on high impact factor journals. So it was in their interest to grow this. I was very happy today to hear a different narrative saying we should look beyond impact factor, and I must thank something known as Plan S. Originated from the Scandinavian countries, and it is basically saying that if government funds research, then every citizen has access to that research. And Plan S was supposed to have been rolled out in 2020, then 21. Most of Europe has signed up for it. The resistance is coming obviously from the United States, which sees markets differently. But anyway, it's getting there. I will talk a little bit about that. But you've heard this morning, you've heard about publishing, you've heard about how to publish, what to publish, when to publish, all of that you've heard. But what you did not hear, and which I want to wake you up on, is that all of this that you heard constitutes less than 9% of India's publishing capability. I will give you the statistics from Clarivate. I am not going to, nothing that I'm telling you is something that's made up. I want you to remember that when you go through, when you see my slides. Now, high-level submissions mean desk rejections. And let's be clear, we all know how desk rejections happen. So let me get on with my slides. I just have a few. I'll talk about the problems. I'll give you probably a solution. All right, so the problem statement. 1.8 million researchers in India have no access to transparent researching publishing options. 1.8 million comes from 1.5 plus teaching faculty who need to publish at least one article every year. 300,000 comes from the floating population of early career researchers, those who are entering research programs, and those who are actually exiting. So there's a floating population. It varies year on year. It's about 1.8 million. Now, in the top 50 global publishers, somebody just mentioned, I think my previous speaker, we must research the publishers. The top 50 global publishers, there isn't a single Indian one. And let me tell you, 95% of the journal articles you publish are processed in India. 95% of them, no matter where you submit. Every single one of the major publishers has an outfit in India that is processing your article in India. 95%. Please just chew on that. We don't have in the top 50 global academic publishers, there's not a single Indian. And you're going to tell me that India can't produce a publishing house? All right. 1.8 million researchers. Now, the market size is 190,000. This is Clarivate. Clarivate's number of 2021 that they put out. 190,000 articles were published from India. So please tell me, 91% of India's research is not publishable. Really? Okay. The top 50 global publishers of the world control 50% of the world's academic output. 50% of the world's publishing output, academic research is confirmed from them, and all of them are in the Western Hemisphere, creating all the matrices that work for them. Okay, now this is a typical publisher's insider view. They want to publish a journal. There is an editorial board which is supposed to be independent. The editorial board wants exclusivity, and the publisher wants volume, because publishers make money only if there is volume. So a biannual becomes triannual, they make money. Triannual becomes 6 monthly, 6 issues in a year, they make money. But as you heard since morning, since yesterday, editorial boards are stressed. They receive more submissions that they can process. They want, you heard 70%, 80%, 90% rejection rates, and that's a reality. And the reality is because they want to ensure that there are certain filters that are applied. And this is contrary to what the publisher actually wants. Now, one nation, one subscription. This is India's answer to controlling the runaway cost of subscriptions to a journal. Now, what is going to happen? So, the journal access plan is that the government will negotiate one price. This is almost done. It's going to be green open access. They're preferring green open access, which basically means they'll give a moratorium to the publishers to be able to publish, and then they have to make it open access. So there is a subscription component, but within the subscription component is an entire cost which is you can only make this behind paywalls for a limited period. Then it has to become open access. Now, the problem is the negotiation between the time frame of what is the definition of green open access. Then, we have an estimated budget of 1,500 crore for subscription journals, and this is being used currently by just about some 10 consortia. Now, making it free, the fallout effect of one nation, one subscription of making it free is going to be fewer journals are going to be published. Publishers are not going to go in for subscription-based journals. They are going to go in for platinum or diamond, platinum, diamond interchangeable, or gold open access. Gold open access is author pays, diamond and platinum is institution pays. And then there are increased chances of fraudulent exchanges. There's less transparency that's going to come through, and of course, subscriptions may get put on hold. This is going to be the fallout of One Nation, One Subscription. You will hear the announcement in about 15 days. So publishers are under the axe. They are stressed. They are not going to get revenue. Their revenues are capped by the government of India. So in research publishing, here are the challenges. So we are seeing an alarming, you see, the problem is, I'm talking about the challenges here, and we are talking about academic misconduct. There's an old saying, marta kya na karta. There is so much pressure to publish that people are taking shortcuts. There's no doubt about it, and you can't deny it. It's like behaving like an ostrich. Clarivate's own number, 300,000 articles are published in fake journals out of India. So, APC charges are unrealistic for India. They start at around the $1,000 mark, and Springer Nature crosses $12,000 US to publish one article. It's not going to happen. No matter any amount of government funding can't fund these APCs. The cost of publishing research, editing, typesetting costs, marketing, distribution, publishing is not cheap. There is definitely a problem over there. There is a cost to it, but it is controllable. Today, in today's world, it is controllable simply because there's a lot of automation that's available. And then there's an absence of a trustworthy Indian publisher. There's no doubt about it. We have ourselves to blame. We should not be blaming the West for not being able to publish, but the problem is we've got the very bad label, 42% of fake single-owned journals located in India. So, so the market perspective of a high-impact journal is basically meet global standards. Now, the problem with that is USA for 1.6 million researchers produces 600,000 articles. India, to meet this benchmark, needs to publish 500,000 more articles to be able to be at parity level with the US in terms of articles per academic. Now, One Nation, non-subscription is going to discourage new subscription-based journals, that's for sure. And then conventional journals are too narrow focused. And I'm telling you, I'm standing here at IIM Ranchi and telling you, they will not survive financially over a medium term, simply because it's not going to be able to sustain this for a publisher. The costs are going to go up, revenue is capped, it's just not a model that's going to sustain itself. So, publisher perspective, no revenue model, no little, see, this is another angle. India's research, which is based primarily on Indian data for Indian market, is of no interest to foreign publishers. They can't monetize this in the West. If it has some reach, if it has some global acceptability, they will publish it. But anything that is, we are in Jharkhand. Something about the central tribes is of very little use monetarily for an international publisher. But it's very important for our ethnicity. Open access is a solution, but Western article charges, as I said, are prohibitive. Indian APC are predatory since journals don't follow academic rigor. We've got this problem. We should acknowledge it. The only way we can tackle the problem is by acknowledging it. And a charge of ₹1,000 can get you published, but is in the case of as is. Whatever you submitted gets published. You even get a certificate nicely stating you've been published by this journal, and it's of no value, no academic value. So what can an institute and university? You've got two options. You can publish your own journal. No publisher in the Western world is going to want to publish it. Commercial publishers are not interested, and university and institutions, can't devote the resources to do a full-fledged, full-level journal publishing program. It's just not possible. Then align with a publishing partner, a publisher, or an open access SaaS. So my startup is one of them. It's going to provide journal publishing as a service, where you get the full Monty. You get everything that you want. Whether you want a bespoke workflow, you want a bespoke editorial board, you want to use our database, and we have pretty extensive databases, and align with a mega journal. So the concept of a mega journal was introduced in 2006 by PLOS, and over the years there are only 13 of them that have been published, but they are increasingly becoming important. If you want to do interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary research, then your answer is mega journals. It's not in the narrow focused traditional journals. And then promote a culture. See, we have not promoted a culture of peer reviewing. In the entire conversation that I have been hearing over the last 1.5 days, I have not once heard that institutions should tell their scholars as well as their faculty to encourage them to become peer reviewers. That's something that we should be doing actively. And of course, to help researchers publish in OA, you'll have to set aside some amount of notional funding. So that's basically it. I'm just summing it up in 6 slides, in 6 points. Community-driven, you should think about a community-driven platform where all academics participate, especially the early researchers. They are the ones who are going to benefit the most. Affordable and inclusive article processing charge, a democratized feedback mechanism. Vikramshila will become probably the first platform on the planet which will have an anonymous peer review system where even the publishing editor does not know who the peer reviewer is, cannot allocate one directly in the mega journal, and will at the same time, the article when published will be open for open peer review by any scholar who is registered with us and verified. We talked about that. Speedy publishing with open communication. I've been hearing 1 year, 2 year, 3 years. It frightens me. I'm a PhD scholar. If I've got to wait 2 years to publish an article, I don't know how long it'll take me to get my PhD. I'm already in my 2nd year. So I'm scared of that. I think 60 days to 90 days is a reasonable amount of time with all the automation that's available. The language editing, almost all publishers have moved to automated tools. Proofreading, almost all automated. Reference check, DOI, the URL checks, almost all of it is now automated. So there is no actual reason why we should be in this stage. And that's basically it. That's my startup, and those are my URLs. That's a corporate website. That's my portal, which is currently undergoing testing. I encourage you to please come and register. All feedback welcome. There is a contact email address on the platform. I am very happy to take all the feedback, and however negative it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mehra. Now, given the paucity of time, I dropped the idea of having discussing ourselves and directly go to the audience. So forum is open. If you have any question, you can raise your concerns, but there is an asterisk. Asterisk is there are only 2 questions which are allowed. Questions. Yeah, and be specific again. Just 2 questions. And from 2 different individuals, obviously.
No question.
No question, great. Then I have one important question. I think that will be on mind of various individuals. Indexing, right? So your journals are indexed in Scopus. How to get indexed in some highly reputed indices, including the Scopus, ABDC, ABS, and how to start. For example, like, which should we target first? Is it Scopus, or is it ABDC, or is it ABS? So the question goes to Professor Day.
In India, am I audible? In India, you cannot escape but get indexed first in UGC care. That is the easiest. But it is becoming tough because of so many things, I don't want to mention, but there are so many malpractices going on, which is making it tougher. The second one is Scopus. Scopus is more authentic. Scopus is broad-based. So try for Scopus. And in Scopus, the journal editor or the journal owner doesn't have any role. It has to be applied by publisher. So talk to publisher, get them, and there are certain criteria to be met.
After how many issues?
3 years, I think.
3
Now
years.
moratorium is 3 years.
Okay. So any criteria for number of papers?
No.
It is open access, the rules are changing, new rules will be out.
Right. So I heard there should be some 20 to 30 papers.
Not necessarily.
No, not necessarily.
3 years
3 years
of publication.
Okay.
But for open access, the rules are changing.
See, the problem with ABDC is it is largely determined by the voting system, which brings in bias. Okay. For ABDC, neither you nor your publisher can apply. It has to be applied by some professor, renowned professors of good institutes located in Australia or New Zealand. Okay. That is the first level of bias. And then they decide, they have their own criteria of admitting or not admitting. I have faced this problem twice, and I am very, very unhappy with this. ABS is better. ABS is better because ABS, your publisher can apply, and it has a very fair, transparent system. We got without much effort. Of course, we got it in 21 because after changing our stance from teaching case to research case and all that, but it happened very smoothly, no issues. The better is that you try for Q1, Q2, that is Scopus. So, like our journal is right now Q4, and we have our own problems because being case journal, so no citation. So it will take time, but if you can focus on Q1, Q2, I think that is much better. Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
One quick question to Mr. Mehra. How to increase visibility and attract good papers for our new journal, which is so far not indexed?
So the answer is in your department, marketing. So the problem has been that publishers have traditionally not focused on marketing. They are focused on sales. But if you can devise a marketing plan and publisher can assist you in disseminating that, then today I think you have a much better chance of increasing visibility than you did even 5-7 years ago. So there are many tools. I don't have to teach you about them, the digital marketing tools that are available at your disposal.
But there is
One more problem,
yeah.
sorry. One more problem.
Yeah.
I would like to add to whatever Vivek has said. See, as a Sage has some 900 plus journal in their prime package, 1200. And they approach marketing by having a consolidated plan of all the 1200. How is it possible? In today's customized world, personalized world, how can you do a mass marketing kind of thing? So that is a bigger problem.
Okay.
So just one line, rather a task, fantastic session. Vivek, in fact, your Vikramshila should hold the flag for India. And as Professor Mehta keeps saying, from India for the world. Can we think about having top journals coming from India, and we have an index where others have to comply? And all the challenges that you said, ABS has a problem, ASES, your ABDC has a bias and all. Can we create an unbiased platform for global audience where they can trust what comes from India is top? Let us give ourselves 5 years time. Let us use the platform of ISDSI in as much as we can and see. I don't know whether it is a lofty target, but can we start thinking on those lines at least? So it's a task, not a question as such.
So there was one attempt about 5 years ago, one attempt. Problem was that there is a bias amongst publishers, and India is not on their priority list. So that's from the insider, an insider speaking to you, a reformed insider, that there is no interest in India. So we have to as a community do what we want, whatever we need for ourselves. It's not impossible, it's not rocket science. Let's put it that way.
See, look at what has happened to UGC care list. We had that opportunity. We could have made the process much more robust, much more transparent, but we messed up. So second attempt also, people will think that it will go the same way. So we have to have a very, very transparent, very robust system. We have to be very clinical, dispassionate in identifying what is quality and implementing that. Thank you.
Apart from that, that there is a need of your, let's say, global. Sure.
Hello. I believe we can all appreciate the different perspectives and insights that have been shared today. As our discussion on developing high-impact journals in India draws to a close, we would like to thank our esteemed guests, Mr. Mehra, Professor Day, Professor Tripathi, for their invaluable insights. I'd now request Professor Mishra to facilitate our guests and present the mementos. We will now be taking a quick 15-minute break for high tea.